Alright, it's fuel system night. So, got the fuel rails in, injectors, got a few wires to them, but I actually need to run the harness and everything to look good. Got the crossover in the back and starting on the back of the car as well. Just a little bit more progress. Got the Champion 3-core radiator in, or 3-row radiator, with the also Champion, I think 16-inch electric fan in there. All mounted up. Lots of surface area. Should have no problem cooling. Also got the coil packs on there. And ran the hydraulic line for the clutch up there, and I need to zip tie it or something, but the speed bleeder's up there, which is really nice because, as you know, these Z's have a little access door here that pops up, so I'll be able to get to that clutch bleeder really easy. If you're new to fuel systems, especially LS ones like this, there are plenty of options nowadays to get this taken care of. I went with a system from Speedway Motors. Basically, that is a kit they put together for LS swap purposes. It comes with everything that you need, basically, including, I went with this fuel pump here because right now I just have the stock LQ4 motor. It does come with these barb fittings for the fuel pump. I, however, opted for these AN fittings to go in as well, especially because I'm running AN for the whole thing. Cool thing about it, it also comes with this insulated sleeve for the fuel pump. You got your clamps. It should have basically everything that you need to get started. But then really think about how you want to run your fuel system and, order the additional parts that you need along with it, in case you want to customize it like I did. There are some other things I did. I actually got a different fuel filter and such, but yeah, just a good starting point for you. And just for thought process sake, lining up what the fuel system's going to look like. So we got a pre-filter, fuel pump, regulator, final filter. Might be overkill, maybe not, who knows. But this is my starting point, all the fittings for them and the mounts. Going to start going under the car and seeing where all this is going to go, and then figure out how much hose I need. Alright, here we have the back of the car. So I needed to neck these down. They were big, like dash 10 out, so I need to go down to a dash 6 AN. Got them more or less lined up and figure out where I need to mount everything.
1 hour later.
Here's what I came up with for the back of the car for now in the fuel system. So I have the AN6 fitting coming off the back of the fuel cell, going to the inline billet fuel filter I have here. It was being held up by itself, but I just put the zip tie in just to make sure. Coming in here to the fuel pump, as you can tell, it is mounted just lower than the sump here. And it is not the lowest point. The lowest point is the rear suspension here. So basically the line is going to come off this fuel pump. It's going to go up here, hit up with the brake line over there, and then go down the front of the car. And in the front of the car is going to be the fuel regulator on the firewall. So yeah, the fuel regulator is going to be somewhere in here on the firewall. So the fuel line will come up here. You'll have the main fuel line and the return come up, have the fuel line, and then that's going to track over to the fuel rail. So one thing to note, that this fuel regulator is also a filter as well. So I have that pre-filter and I'm running this. I'm still on the fence about running another filter, but I really shouldn't need it in line between this outlet and the fuel rail. So this is what I'm going to go with for now, because this is basically the OEM setup of the two fuel filters. Okay, so here's what I ended up with for the fuel line. Probably come up with a more permanent mount than a zip tie, but it works for now. Under the fuel cell, just a little bit lower than the sump. This comes around. You're not going to be able to see it, but it basically goes up there above the axle. Then comes down here and follows the frame rail down until it dips up into the engine bay. Alright, in the engine bay, the two lines come up here. They're basically going to be as far away from the exhaust as I can make them, but there's not a lot of space down there. Then the regulator goes right here. Then from the 90 at the top comes over to the fuel rail. That's what the setup's going to be.